You know, after my review of the death of Superman, I really wanted the next video to be a positive review, so I decided to finally finish watching The Hollow, a show I put on hold after the first episode. But then I watched the rest of it and, well, I didn't really like it. The Hollow being a Netflix series, which is pretty apparent because if you compare it to Legend Quest, they have a similar texture. To be completely honest with you, looking back, I don't know why I thought this was going to be an enjoyable ride. I say this because I barely liked the first episode. One of my biggest concerns was the animation. It was mostly cheap, with the exceptional cases being whenever there was action, which were the only moments where I felt like effort was being put. And as the series progressed, the cheap animation only became more apparent. The absolute worst were the walking and running sequences, which looked really awful. The art design had its shining moments though, especially in the third episode, so I'll give them that. My second beef had to do with the dialogue. If you've been watching my videos since at least the beginning of the year, you may or may not have noticed a little trend, which is the fact that nothing makes me laugh anymore, and The Hollow is no exception. Before I watched it, I checked its IMDb page, and one of the listed genres was drama. So when I was watching the first episode, I was shocked when I spotted the reliance on comedy in certain scenes, but whatever, that's something I can easily get behind, but only when it's funny, and it's not. By far my least favorite aspect of the humor is Kai. I cannot stand this type of character that's specifically designed to be a comic relief. It's annoying, forced, and usually just unfunny. I feel like the only time I found Kai to be even remotely enjoyable was whenever he would create conflict with other characters, with my favorite being the discussion surrounding the fate of the... oh yeah, I should probably warn you, this review is going to contain a lot of spoilers, so you've been warned. As I was saying, surrounding the fate of the other competitors, and I feel like both Kai and Adam had legitimate reasons for fighting for whatever they thought was the right decision. Although there is one moment of conflict that kinda pissed me off, which was when Kai and Adam initially thought Mira was dead. The reason why this bothered me was because of the circumstances. This incident was a result of Adam accidentally damaging something from the ship, which led them to crash, and after Mira was temporarily gone, Kai started hating Adam for fucking up. Now let me ask you this. What did this brief moment of dispute result in? I always see conflicts in movie and television shows as tools to either forward trivial conversations or pressing buttons to play a role in challenging characters. Let's imagine a scenario where Adam had a history of either being irresponsible or reckless. This would have been perfect because this incident would play a role of challenging and questioning the traits and flaws of the character, and that's only one example I have. In this case, however, it was just a simple conflict that resulted in nothing, aside from Mira discovering new abilities, which had very little to do with Adam and Kai. It was just a fucking accident, and you can tell how this moment of drama had very little impact in the story because it never became relevant. It was quickly resolved after Mira returned. Kai and Adam became friends again, just like that. Which brings me to another issue I have with the show, but before I go there, I'd like to say that this isn't the last time I'll talk about the dialogue. I have a couple of extra things to say which I'll address later. The one thing that gave me hope in the first episode was the mystery element. I was indeed interested in knowing what the hell happened. Who are these people? Why can't they recall a single thing about their past? What's with the special abilities some of them have? And my curiosity ended up taking control. I respected the show for making me want to know what the hell was happening, and for a brief period, I was holding on to the possibility that the issues I had with the episode would either go away or just go overlooked. But then I continued watching it, and one thing I began to notice was that, well, nothing happens. Okay, let me rephrase that. Nothing I want to happen was happening. I just kept constantly seeing never-ending obstacles that were holding them back, but failing at getting closer to answering the questions I wanted so badly to be answered. Things only started to move forward and become actually fun when the main characters met another group of humans that were trying to reach the same goal they wanted, and after they figured out that they were in a game, which for the first time I was feeling gratified. It explained why the map they were holding only showed locations they were previously in, and you had to travel to other areas in order to unlock them in the map. Just like a video game. But the questions of who were they, how they got there, and what's responsible for this phenomena weren't being addressed, besides the characters constantly bitching about not knowing where they are, which brings me back to my previous point, the dialogue. I don't know how many times I got really irritated watching the characters repeatedly asking what the fuck is going on to each other, despite the fact that it was more than clear that none of them knew jack shit about either their past and present. This got so annoying that even Adam acknowledged that asking the same question over and over again wasn't helpful. It was just pointless, and the only thing they can really do is just to stay focused and do whatever the talking tree told them to do. But they just did it again and again. Also, I felt really bad for Adam at times. Am I the only one who thought it was pretty dickish how Kai and Mira were dismissing Adam's theories because in their minds it made no sense, despite the fact that they are trapped in a world with the weirdest shit, but for some reason the possibility that they are either in a parallel universe or trapped in a video game is just ludicrous. They couldn't at least hear what he has to say. Honestly, sometimes it just feels like the characters are intentionally holding themselves back. I remember the one episode where they met Death and the recurring helper suggested that they chose to be here, and they somehow twisted his words by interpreting as they were destined to be here. Pay attention to what he's saying, goddammit. Speaking of that episode, did anyone notice that every time Death was in the scene, it would play the wishbone sound effect?
I'm not sure he'll make it.
You said you'd heal him!
Stop! Don't kill us!
Fun fact, if you go to Gregory Hinde's Wordpress, go to the audio section and click the song called Q from Feast, you'll hear this exact sound effect during the middle of the song. Anyway, I have another bone to pick with that episode. Oh, and speaking of which, you know, I've always liked puns. I think they're amusing in their own way, but this show made me hate puns. It's actually impressive when I think about it. But whatever, getting back on topic, some of you might think this is pretty nitpicky. There's this one scene where Death wanted to act friendly, and in an attempt to start a conversation, he asked Kai if he wanted to know the exact date he'll die. Here's the thing. Death agreed with the gang that if they could save his horse, he would spare their lives. Given this, if he knows when they'll die, why is he acting so impatient? Just relax, man. If their time of death isn't recent, then that means you let them off, which means the deal went well. And that's exactly what happened. So just check your clock and calm the fuck down. I don't really have much to say about the ending. It was pretty interesting and caught me by surprise, but at the same time, it's not the ending I would want. It just kind of went against the entire appeal of the show, which was the mystery and the sense that something big, dangerous, and secretive was behind all of this. But whatever, it was what it was. So to wrap things up, this was not worth my time. Some people might like this show, which I can definitely see why. It is thrilling to some extent, and it can be fun in its own way. But for an impatient guy like me, I'm just mostly disappointed. This is the part where I give my score, but to be honest, I need a little more time to settle on it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye for now.